think of global warming or climate change, what sort of image comes to your mind? In other words, what is your and perhaps others' imaginary of global warming? What is it? When you think of global warming, what do you think of? Clearly, you think of something. Better summers. What else? What do other people think about when they think about global warming?
Starving polar bears.
Starving polar bears, exactly. Flooding.
Oceans level rising.
Yes, good. You're all making my point, because we are going to argue that we need to have a new imaginary about climate change and global warming, and that is the imaginary of the celebrity. Because these people now speak about, talk about the science of global warming and climate change and all this stuff. So this is Vanity Fair, has two, this is the second green issue. It's basically about climate change and global warming. A full issue. This is Vanity Fair is the sort of the magazine of record for Hollywood, right? Talking about all these different things. We've got Al Gore over here, of course, right? We've got some other players, George Clooney, right? The world's sexiest man. We've got what's her name again? Julia Roberts. Right. Sorry. We've got Kennedy, who is part of the Kennedy clan, right? Very charismatic person. We've got Leonardo DiCaprio down here. Okay. This is Lori David. You guys have Seinfeld, yeah? Okay. Right. You're familiar with Seinfeld. Her husband, Larry David, was the producer of Seinfeld. She's very much connected into Hollywood, and she'll come up later on as I start to talk about it. So our question is, are celebrities the new sort of charismatic experts with climate change, right? Okay, so we want to work through some of this stuff. And then, of course, we've got, right, the Peace Prize, okay? So Al Gore as the celebrity at the top of the food chain here. Other new imaginaries, just to make an argument that we're not just making this up. It's not just us looking at these magazines and saying these people are talking about these things, right? So what's the imaginary about global development now? Who is the person attached to it? Exactly, Mr. Bono. You can now get a what's known as the red card from American Express, so that when you're going out and you're buying your $200 pair of jeans, part of that money is going to go to world development somewhere. The ironies are just so rich. Okay, anyway. The environment. This is a throwback to the 80s.
Paul McCartney.
Tantric sex. Does that help?
Sting.
Sting, yes, of course. And then, of course, we've got people like Giselle, one of the world's top models. This is a photo shoot in the Amazon, where she's getting picture taken with all these indigenous outfits. And she says up here, the best way to deal with beauty is to get out into nature, right? But attached to this photo shoot, which was in Heat or OK, one of the huge tabloids in the UK, and I have to say that a lot of this stuff is going to be UK focused, but I'll do my best. It was about clean water, okay, in the Amazon. Anti-genocide, world's sexiest man, there it is, right? Talking in front of the UN. The great quote from George Clooney is that people don't have to hear what I say, they just have to see me in front of the UN. Right? That's the quote. I mean, and you see this come up again and again with thinking about celebrity politics. Africa, take your pick. You've got Angelina Jolie, you've got Blood Diamond, you've got Geldof, many of you are probably familiar with them. You've got Live 8, which was in the UK, all over the world. And then one of the Spice Girls, again from a tabloid, she was getting shot, again wearing the sort of indigenous outfits, but it was about women's empowerment in Africa, okay? So this stuff is all over the place. To give you a sense of where some of this is coming out of with my work, I do a lot of work on fair trade, and I was just struck so much about how the imagery has shifted from poor farmers to now the celebrities, right? So these are different celebrity campaigns in the UK attached to particular groups. This is a Make Trade Fair campaign, which is part of Oxfam. They got these celebrities together, took pictures of them. They were all over the place. The idea was to bring awareness to the dumping of commodities on poor people. So you have Colin Firth taking a shower in coffee. You've got Chris Martin. Is everybody familiar with Chris Martin at all? Coldplay, huge band in the UK, 30 million albums. I don't know how many Grammys, right? Okay, so they're up there in the top. Michael Stipe from REM, Tom York from Radiohead. There's Chris Martin again. This is Anita Roddick. who was the head of the Body Shop, who just passed away. This was the second campaign, right? So the idea is that these celebrities are all over the place, okay? And this is, in the States, this is our one poor celebrity for fair trade, Martin Sheen. Okay? So part of our argument is this: the celebrity theory of value, or what a difference a celebrity makes. You can see this quote from this company, Nobel, sells toilet paper. They're worried about getting celebrities to sell toilet paper. Okay? Today's celebrity-driven culture is a driving force behind the change in attitudes, says the marketing director. Focus groups have shown us that the role model celebrities such as Bono, Jamie Oliver, are key, huge chef there, key in changing consumer behavior. We're surprised by the rate of change amongst consumers. It's accelerated since the environment is taken up as a fashionable cause, influential personalities, etc., etc. So this is companies talking about a lot of this stuff. The Oxfam UK has a full-time celebrity liaison. So all this person does is get celebrities, okay? We want to say that there's this sort of outlandish fetishization and obsessive compulsiveness of media and celebrities. This is a radio clip from a program in the States. It's called On the Media. The show was about disease weeks, right? You've got brain hemorrhage week to raise awareness for brain hemorrhage, all that stuff. So this is Bob Garfield talking to the head of the Liver Foundation about the problems of getting publicity around their program.
Easier for some organizations than for others. The breast cancer pink ribbon campaign has captured the imagination of millions. Likewise, Lance Armstrong's yellow wristbands. And colon cancer awareness got a boost when Katie Couric's husband died of the disease.
Liver was kind of just sitting back there while the other organs stepped to the plate. Moved to the fore. We've got some catching up to do.
Do you lay awake at night wishing that Paris Hilton will get hepatitis B?
A celebrity or somebody like a Paris Hilton, and she happened to have liver disease and we could get her as a spokesperson, that would be probably very helpful. We all know it can for colon cancer. So we are hoping to find some celebrities.
God willing.
Yeah. God willing.
If I were that guy, I'd go back and strike that from the transcripts. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, you get the point, right? So here's the title of the talk. Trust me, I'm a megastar, changing politics, celebrity, and fair trade, which I'm not really going to talk about, but just talk about where it's come out of, and climate change media. Again, some very preliminary work. You've seen this picture. Max and I work closely together. Okay, this is a part of a wider project and a set of questions, I think, that are important, that are sort of driving this work. This is a quote from a band called Rage Against the Machine. It came out from one of their songs during the first Gulf War. There's a thin line between entertainment and war. Okay, so you kind of see where I'm going, right? So the thin line between entertainment and distraction and politics. We want to talk about the sort of celebritization of contemporary society and what that might mean. And what stands for cultural politics at this particular historical moment, particularly post 9/11. You're with us or against us, that sort of stuff. These issues of technology and media, internet, podcasting, etc., and thinking about this in the context of an environmental cultural politics. Okay, some data. This is all from Max. I don't do data. He's really good at this stuff. This is looking at these particular newspapers, searching on climate change and global warming, and then the various celebrities, right? So looking at how many times this has come up in LexisNexis, you can see the jump, right? So Bono, searching on particular names connected to climate change, you can see the jump. 1,500 articles in 2006 when there was little over here, okay? Just to give you some more information from his survey that he did through Nielsen. Who would be the most influential people to champion the efforts to combat global warming and climate change? They were able to select 3 from a list of 22 celebrities. And here are some interesting responses. I can put this back up or give this to you later on down the line. It's online as well. We've got Al Gore, Oprah Winfrey. Who would have thought? Bill Clinton, Bono, Richard Branson, right? And of course these are different in the different countries. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bob Geldof, Kofi Annan, Angelina Jolie. Okay, so some questions. This particular question that we have: how do celebrity politicians and politicized celebrities inform climate governance and the carbon economy? And these sets of questions really sort of inform what we're trying to work through. facilitate a step towards multi-scale, meaningful change, trivialize behavioral changes, etc. A new set of sort of actors, right? Politics of distraction. We're talking about emerging movements. How are these people involved in this stuff? Is it just about simply getting somebody to buy a damn hybrid car or not? Okay? And then this question here, which is apropos to the workshop, celebrities as this sort of new experts to trust or to model. And the final question, in short, is it more effective to plant celebrities instead of trees when we talk about climate change? Or fighting the greenhouse effect with the celebrity effect on planet Earth? Those of you that are climate scientists, there's not probably, anyway, nobody's laughing, so I'm going to keep going. All right. So the three things that we're kind of working through, the way we want to situate this is kind of politics of science, this work about post-normal science, which I have an embarrassingly low knowledge of, but this idea that science is it's a series of facts in a way, but those are fought out in the media, and the role of celebrities in engaging in that and how we move forward. Scientific communication and media, and then of course celebrities and celebrity politics, getting into cultural studies, and even, yes, Virginia, there is a thing is known as celebrity studies now. Okay. All right. We are interested in developing a sort of multifaceted framework to transcend this dualism of celebrity politics, right? There's the Frankfurt School that says this is all distraction. This is the man keeping you down. You're looking at TVs and movies and you're not organizing politically. And then you get different scholars who say, well, but it's actually about getting people interested in politics, getting a new generation, younger kids, to vote, etc. Okay? So thinking about the confluence of media science and cultural politics, the celebrity spectacle of science. This is some other work which I'll just skip over, coming out of geography, thinking about the role of celebrities in green consumerism, green commodities, etc., how the media might be a tool, and then again the celebrity as experts. So we draw on Street's work. This is out of cultural studies, two different definitions, and you can note the italicization here and the differences, right? So you get celebrity politicians, the traditional politician, the legitimately elected representative who engages with the world of popular culture in order to engage and advance their pre-established political functions and goals, right? Tony Blair hanging out with Bono. So you get the celebrity politician, the entertainer who pronounces on politics and claims the right to represent peoples and causes, but it is not without seeking and acquiring elected office. The engagement tends to make a form of public gesture statements aimed at changing public policy decisions. So that's where we're working from. Another working definition that's important, people who via mass media enjoy a greater presence and wider scope of activity and agency than those who might make up the rest of the population, allowed to move in the public stage while the rest of us watch, okay? All right, so where do we want to go? We have developed what we call the celebrity system, okay, to think about the interactions of all these different things. The celebrity, this is just a quote about where we're going from and to. Okay, so we're talking about the sort of circulations, right? That model that Max was talking about, in and out of production and consumption. The circulations of bodies and performances, right? How celebrities take private politics, private desires, private ideas, and put them into the public. The important thing also to think about are celebrity social networks. Laurie David is about networking with other celebrities and getting them interested in doing these things. The signs and images, the celebrity brands, how that's involved, okay? So don't want to necessarily get into that. Who's hot and who's not, who's on the A list, who's on the C list. Celebrity genres are important. Bono singing death metal? No, that's not going to work, right? So the genre is important. Artifacts are incredibly important. The actual movies, the music, the websites, scientific artifacts, the hockey stick, how that's taken up, moved around, used by celebrities. Importantly, getting to the sort of political economy of the media. So getting a wider lens in terms of who can speak and who can't. What sells, who decides, consolidation, who has access, right? These sorts of questions. And of course, the audience, reception, knowledge, and the level of knowledge. Are they actually taking on what they're hearing from celebrities, and what might that mean? So just to quickly give you a sense of what we think this looks like. So you've got these different aspects of the system circulating, and then into developing and expressing what we think as the politicized celebrity system. Okay? And so what we started from was this sort of taxonomy. Who is doing what? Is everybody familiar with Richard Branson? Yeah. He's the head of Virgin Airlines, Virgin Media, etc. He's pledged $3 billion to renewable fuel research. There was a problem with that, though, but because he was pledging to give it to himself and his own companies, which is really interesting. Again, Lori David, she financed An Inconvenient Truth. She's all over the place, and I think I will replay it. Let's let Lori talk for herself.
Lori, of all the issues you could have taken on, human rights, Guantanamo, Darfur, global poverty, how did you light on this one?
Well, you know, it happened to me when I became a mom. And I had a colicky baby, and I was on the streets of my neighborhood pushing a stroller, and it happened to coincide with the explosion of SUVs. And I understood, okay, SUVs, 12 miles per gallon, you know, double the global warming pollution, double the amount of gas to get where you need to go. And I just started reading everything I could about it. And I got more and more disturbed. All my friends drove them. So, you know, that's when it happened to me. It's like I just, I connected the dots, and, once you know something, like if you know the things that you love and care about are at stake, like you have to do something about it. There are things that you can do to help solve this. I mean, that's empowering. I mean, you're telling me by the choice I make in toilet paper or in a vehicle, and actually in my cell phone charger, pulling it out of the wall, in the light bulbs I buy, that I could actually help reduce my own personal carbon emissions and help stop global warming? Or wouldn't you do that if you understood that? Of course you would.
Did you convert your famous spouse?
I did convert. Well, we were the first ones, really one of the first ones to buy hybrid cars, and he put it on his television show, which gives him lots of brownie points with me. And and I think a bald man driving a hybrid is a very sexy thing, and I think it becomes a babe magnet. We try to get other people buying them. Next thing you can't go out in Los Angeles now. I mean, every other car is a hybrid, and Toyota is raking in the dough, and Detroit isn't. And one of the reasons is because they didn't see the writing on the wall that Americans want fuel-efficient cars, Americans want to reduce our dependence on oil, and Americans really don't want to be contributing global warming if they can help it.
You want your husband to be a babe magnet? What are you doing? You talk about the shift that we're starting to see. Maybe your work is done. You can move on to something else now. You did it. You got that issue front and center in the culture.
My work isn't going to be done until the federal government of the United States takes a leadership role in this issue, and some serious legislation comes down to reduce CO2 emissions. We're not going to be done until we get there. The only place we're at right now is that people are finally understanding the urgency of the issue, and I think they're starting to look at what they can do, and there's a lot they can do, but now we have to get government to change. I mean, we have to take a leadership role. We have to join the rest of the world, in dealing with this problem, and we have to do it fast. I mean, there is a 10-year window, they say, to solving this problem in a serious way. And if there's a...
Right, so you get the point. It's interesting, again, that connection between private and public, and how that starts to circulate in these particular people that can make these statements. Robert Redford's incredibly important. He's hosted the U.S. Mayor's Conference and the Climate Protection Agreement in 2005. Incredibly sort of wide-ranging policies with different cities, who's, I think, made an incredible impact. He just brought them all to his ranch, and they hung out and talked. So, other people, Chris Martin and Coldplay. They've very publicly bought carbon offsets for tours. They developed a mango farm, which subsequently failed, but they tried, right? Ethics of care matters, right? Yeah. So, okay, we've got Albert Gore. And don't forget the Live Earth concerts. We've got the Nobel Peace Prize, which he shared with the IPCC, which I think is incredibly interesting. Leonardo DiCaprio, who I've already mentioned. And then, do you guys know who this is? Ed Begley Jr. Yeah, okay, actor. And veteran environmental campaigner, as he was described in the newspaper. And I put him up here because he's quite quotable. If you are going to drive around in a big old Hummer and then buy carbon offsets to mitigate that, that's like getting drunk on the weekends and throwing some money through the window of an AA meeting and thinking you are doing something. Okay, that was in the New York Times. All right. So let's get to this question about expertise and extending expertise and authority. Again, sorts of questions that we want to ask and wrestle with. These are quotes in the US and UK newspaper coverage. Who is being quoted about global warming and climate change? you can see the red line is actually going up slightly. Scientists and policy actors are, of course, at the top, but celebrities and other people are going upwards, okay? So thinking about, and I think this important question about boundaries. How do celebrities work these boundaries between science and popular culture and media? Okay, so just some quotes from various people that do work on this stuff. I'll move on. Is it going to work? Yes. Okay. So we want to think about celebrities as what's known as a sort of boundary object, or even a boundary commodity. Because let's face it, celebrity is a commodity, right? Very much so. And this is Sally Eden's work from the University of Hull, from the Geography Department. Some interesting stuff about science developed in NGOs and how that's considered in the wider public. So she talks about environmental science. She talks about this fuzzy zone of negotiation and rhetoric. And you can think about celebrities on the boundaries of science, politics, art, fashion, right? The Washington Post coverage of An Inconvenient Truth was in the style section, right? How does that shift the discussion? The quote was about the discussion was about what people are wearing. Jessica Simpson's wearing a black pantsuit, pearl earrings, and hair tucked conservatively in a loose bun when she appeared for the red carpet opening, okay? So that gets tied to these issues of, I think, science and how it's used in the media. It's a question of putting science to work, right? So into a form of communication. This conversation has been going on over the last couple of days. And one question that I have, and Max I think is working on, once An Inconvenient Truth came out, at the same time George Bush said, yes, I think global warming is a problem, did the voices of the deniers actually go down in the media? I think that's an empirical question. And this question about the role of celebrities in policy is also important, which we're going to start working on, and how it gets amplified or not. In a way, it's a sort of spectral expertise, right? That's how I want to think about it. This is not born out of training, but out of the virtue of popularity. And you can tie this to things like celebrity endorsement. There's a whole literature on this stuff about celebrity endorsement. That Pierce Brosnan does adverts for macho cars and watches, and the connections between those, right? So is this a question of changing that sort of nature of expertise or not? Is this something that's happened over time? I don't have the historical depth to say yes or no. Is science becoming a sort of another product to market and sell through celebrities? Does it cheapen and distract or open up science to wider audience? What is lost and what is gained here? And I'm almost done. I like this idea of this miasmic soup, right? So expertise, airtime, personalities, popularities, A-list and not C-list, with science coming in at the end and what that might mean. Two different ways that I think the entry of celebrities has affected how people take on the science or the message, right? So you get this overly celebratory portrayals, right? One side, I think, of the chart that Max drew up there, right? Celebrities are on our side, and I'm not going to play this, but this was a description of the 11th hour on this radio program, Living on Earth, and it was just, they were falling over themselves about Leonardo DiCaprio and how great it was, and he's such a great actor. Well, it's completely subjective, but yeah, he's giving the message that these people want. And this one I will play. The personalization, and it turns these things into personal attacks, which is a problem. Here's a quote from this guy at the Competitive Enterprise Institute, who's written this book, Echo Freaks, where where he's going to go. Al Gore has won the 2007 Nobel Peace Prize. The choice, more than any other Nobel committee, marks the end of the 105-year era, right? Okay, so you see where that's going, and I just want to quickly play this clip.
And Al Gore is actually nominated for a third award this week. Not only the Nobel Peace Prize, not only Best Documentary at the Academy of Arts and Sciences. No, Al Gore has also been nominated by the United Nations Ecological Agency as a champion of the Earth. Now, I don't know if this is some sort of superhero convocation they have at some fortress of solitude out there, but Al Gore's been nominated for the 2007 award. It was going to be handed out in Singapore on April 19th. Hopefully Singapore will still be above the ocean level at that point. But Al Gore is one of 7 people who is actually he's been picked. He's not been nominated. He's been picked. John Hinderucker's a champion of the earth, so he'll be getting his full-body spandex suit and his cape, apparently, and we salute him for that.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. You know,
Right, so this is this blog known as Powerline, which is one of the biggest conservative blogs in the States, and that's from their radio program. So the point is that by implications of the personal attack, this is, I think we need to think about this. Attack of the science by proxy, the dismissal of the science, right? Al Gore is a fool who wears a spandex suit, whatever, right? So the lack of trust in the person becomes a sort of lack of trust in the science in the wider discussion. There's questions about trust and taste. If you hate how Al Gore looks, you don't like Leonardo DiCaprio's movie, are you going to listen to what they have to say? And that's a question as well. And calling on this theme about neoliberalism that's coming up again and again, right? So this sort of deepening of the neoliberal project, you too can do something for the climate. The sort of individualism of the speaker, of the problem, of the responsibility and the solution. You saw some of that in Lori David's little talk, right? So I think I'm going to end. Have I gone over? Where are I? Good, I'm done. Okay, that's it.